Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.
Most security systems react after a break-in begins. That's too late. SimpliSafe is different. It's proactive. ActiveGuard Outdoor Protection uses AI-powered cameras to spot suspicious activity before criminals get inside. Live monitoring agents can see, speak to, and scare off intruders in real time, quickly calling police if needed. To get 50% off your new system, go to SimpliSafe.com/podcast. That's SimpliSafe.com/podcast for 50% off. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Mint's premium wireless is $15 a month. But I'd like to offer one other perk. We have no stores. That means no small talk. Crazy weather we're having. No, it's not. It's just weather. It is an introvert's dream. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Mint's premium wireless is $15 a month. But I'd like to offer one other perk. We have no stores. That means no small talk. Crazy weather we're having. No, it's not. It's just weather. It is an introvert's dream. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
The Dawn Highway in the Spanish mountains. Shattered glass and twisted metal glitter in the first light. Acrid smoke and the stench of sulfuric acid claw at the air. 2 lifeless bodies lie amid the wreckage of a crashed tanker truck. A husband and wife, burned beyond recognition by the toxic cargo. Rescue workers choking on fumes desperately search the scene for a third passenger, a 10-year-old boy. They find only a small red sneaker and a few scraps of children's clothing. There is no sign of Juan Pedro Martinez Gomez. I'm Sarah Powell, and this is Obscurata, because some stories have no ending. Juan Pedro Martinez Gomez was a bright 10-year-old from Murcia, Spain, an only child who loved school and had a fascination with the green pastures of northern Spain. In June 1986, his father Andres, a veteran truck driver, decided to reward Juan Pedro's good grades with a special trip. Andres had been contracted to haul 20,000 litres of highly corrosive sulfuric acid from Los Canovas, Murcia, to Bilbao. And he invited his wife Carmen and their son Juan Pedro along for a mini vacation after the delivery. The plan was simple: drive north across Spain, deliver the cargo, then spend a few days sightseeing together in the Basque Country. The journey began normally on June 24th, 1986. The family set out in Andreas's white Volvo F12 tanker truck, embarking from Murcia in the late afternoon. By midnight, they had made their routine rest stops, first near Ceuta, then at a roadside station in Las Pedroneras. In the pre-dawn hours of June 25th, they reached the outskirts of Madrid and stopped once more at a service station to rest. Everything about the trip seemed ordinary and peaceful. A family road adventure, with Juan Pedro wide-eyed and excited for the landscapes ahead. Just before sunrise, around 6 a.m, the family took one last break at Mison Aragon, popularly known as El Mano, a roadside cafe in Cabanillas de la Sierra, north of Madrid. The little restaurant, about 50 kilometres south of Somosierra Pass, would be the final place they were seen together. The cafe's waiter later remembered the family clearly, especially Juan Pedro, dressed head to toe in vivid red, a red shirt and red trousers, as he happily devoured a slice of cake for breakfast. The waiter found it odd that the boy was eating cake so early, but nothing else about the family's demeanour raised concern. They seemed calm and cheerful. After finishing their coffees and Juan's treat, Andres paid the bill. The family climbed back into the truck's cab and pulled onto the highway once more, heading toward the mountains. It was approximately 6:30 a.m. when they left the cafe, blending into the sparse early morning traffic on the NI highway. Somosierra is a steep, winding mountain pass on the principal highway between Madrid and Burgos, a gauntlet of sharp curves and treacherous grades. As the tanker began its descent of Somosierra Pass, something went horribly wrong. The massive vehicle suddenly accelerated out of control, racing down the slope at terrifying speed. Other drivers watched in alarm as the tanker swerved and barreled forward, first overtaking one truck, then ramming a second truck and forcing it off the road. The tanker, now hurtled at over 100 kilometres an hour, failed to brake around a curve and ploughed head-on into an oncoming truck. At approximately 6:40 a.m. on June 25th, 1986, at kilometre 95 of the N1 highway, the Volvo tanker overturned with a thunderous crash. The impact was catastrophic. The pressurized tank ruptured as the truck rolled onto its side, and 20,000 litres of fuming sulfuric acid gushed out A toxic cloud billowed over the crash site, an acid cascading across the asphalt and into the surrounding earth, chewing blackened scars into the shoulder of the road. Several other vehicles were caught in the accident. In total, 4 trucks and a car were damaged, though their drivers mostly escaped serious harm. But the tanker truck's cab was demolished. Inside, emergency responders found Andres and Carmen. Both parents had been thrown violently from the cab. Carmen's body was pinned in the twisted wreckage, while Andres lay face down on the road nearby. Tragically, neither survived the crash. They died on impact before rescuers arrived. Both bodies showed burns and chemical corrosion from the spilled acid, yet remained intact enough to be identified. Firefighters and Guardia Civil officers braved the poisonous fumes to contain the scene. They doused the acid with tons of sand and lime to neutralise it, desperately trying to stop the toxic flow from reaching a nearby river. As they worked, one urgent question hung in the air. Where is the child? Only after a local judge informed Carmen's mother of the accident did authorities learn a 10-year-old boy had been in the truck. Hours passed as rescuers combed through wreckage, fearing the worst. At first, they thought Juan Pedro's remains might be trapped under the overturned tanker or dissolved in the acid. But when heavy cranes finally lifted the ruined cab and tank, there was no body underneath. Searchers found poignant traces of the boy: a child-sized shoe, a white shirt, a cassette tape of children's songs, but no Juan Pedro himself. The impossible disappearance stunned everyone at the scene. The rugged terrain around the crash was searched thoroughly in case the boy had been flung out of the cab. Guardia Civil units spread out over a 20-kilometre radius, scouring the mountains with helicopters, search dogs, and dozens of volunteers. They searched ravines, ditches, and clumps of brush along the highway for 3 days, yet found not a single trace of the child. There were no small footprints leading away, and no blood trails, no discarded clothing beyond the few pieces in the cab. It was as if Juan Pedro had evaporated into thin air amid the chaos of the crash. In the aftermath, investigators confronted a horrifying theory. Perhaps the sulfuric acid had completely dissolved the boy. Sulfuric acid can indeed destroy flesh, and an accident that bathed the crash site in thousands of litres of corrosive liquid seemed a plausible explanation for the missing child. However, forensic experts quickly rejected this scenario. The acid had certainly burned Juan Pedro's parents, but their bodies were still largely intact. Sulfuric acid, especially diluted by exposure and emergency efforts, would not simply make a 10-year-old child disappear without a trace. Bones and teeth, in particular, resist rapid dissolution. Investigators confirmed that Juan Pedro's remains were not at the crash site, and the spilled acid, while dangerous, had not been potent enough to destroy a human body completely. This was no comfort to the grieving relatives. It only deepened the mystery. If the boy wasn't dissolved, where did he go? As news of El Niño de Somosierra spread across Spain, the public grew increasingly fascinated and alarmed. Interpol eventually labelled Juan Pedro's case the strangest missing person mystery in Europe in the late 20th century. The idea that a child could vanish from a sealed truck cabin in the middle of a roadway catastrophe, leaving behind 2 dead parents and 0 evidence, was almost too surreal to believe. Over the following weeks and months, police and journalists chased down every conceivable lead, trying to piece together the final moments before the crash. What they discovered raised more questions than answers. Among the first perplexing clues was data retrieved from the truck's tachograph, the vehicle's black box that recorded speed and stops. At the time of the crash, the tachograph's paper disc had been only partially destroyed, preserving a cryptic record of the truck's behaviour. Investigators were astonished to find that in the last 18 kilometres before the crash, while climbing Somosierra Pass, Andreas's truck made 12 brief stops. These were not scheduled breaks at known rest areas, but short, irregular halts on the highway itself. Most of the pauses lasted only 2 or 3 seconds, mere blips, as if the truck braked erratically or stopped and started in quick succession. But one stop stood out. The final stop lasted about 20 seconds, an unusually long pause right before the fatal descent. There was no traffic jam at that early hour on the mountain road, and weather and road conditions were clear. So why had Andreas halted the heavy tanker a dozen times on an uphill grade? The start-stop pattern suggested something, or someone, repeatedly caused the driver to brake. One theory was mechanical trouble, but the truck was found to be mechanically sound. In fact, the vehicle had recently passed a full safety inspection and showed no signs of brake failure until the moment it hurtled out of control. The curious tachograph data hinted that a tense drama had unfolded on the road in those final minutes before 6:40 a.m, though its nature was unclear. Andreas's family believed they knew the answer. To them, the multiple stops signified a desperate chase or confrontation. One of Juan Pedro's uncles, Juan Garcia Legaz, speculated that during that suspicious 20-second stop at the summit of the pass, something terrible happened. Someone snatched the boy from the truck. In this view, Andres then raced after kidnappers in a frenzy, pushing his overloaded truck beyond safe limits. The theory was that a second vehicle had forced the tanker to stop repeatedly, perhaps boxing him in, until assailants could grab Juan Pedro, using the child as leverage or punishment. Could a crime have been unfolding even before the crash? The erratic stops seemed to indicate yes. As investigators dug deeper, eyewitness accounts emerged to bolster the kidnapping theory. Several truck drivers involved in or near the accident recalled a strange incident immediately after the crash. Amid the smoke and chaos, a white Nissan van was seen pulling over at the crash site. From it emerged a tall man with a moustache and an older woman. The woman, who was blonde and spoke Spanish with an accent, hurried toward the wreck, claiming she was a nurse. Witnesses said the man climbed onto the ruined tanker and looked intently into the cab, as if searching for something or someone. Moments later, the pair were seen carrying a bundle or limp figure out of the truck and into their van. One driver later insisted that the bundle looked like a bloodied child in the man's arms, though visibility was poor and the nurse had sharply ordered people to stand back. In the confusion, the white van sped off almost immediately, even recklessly nearly running over an injured bystander as it fled the scene. By the time the Guardia Civil fully secured the area, the mysterious van and its occupants were long gone. This account inflames suspicions. The notion that someone might have rescued Juan Pedro only to abduct him is perhaps the most haunting possibility of all. Authorities took the van report seriously. They broadcast alerts for any vehicles matching the description, and over the subsequent months, investigated over 3,000 white Nissan vans across Spain. But without a license plate or clearer identifying details, the lead hit a dead end. No trace of the moustached man or the self-professed nurse was ever found. Amid the flurry of eyewitness reports, one particularly odd anecdote surfaced. A truck driver who had been travelling behind Andrea's tanker that morning claimed that, at one of the brief stops, he saw a young girl standing near the Martinez's truck, clutching a red folder against her chest. According to this account, the girl appeared to converse briefly with Andreas through the window just before the tanker pulled away again. But in the devastation after the crash, no girl was found among the victims or witnesses. This enigmatic figure, the girl with the red folder, was never identified, and her presence remains unconfirmed. Was she connected to the events leading up to the crash, perhaps signalling the truck or delivering a message? Or was it a case of mistaken identity in the pre-dawn darkness? The official investigation did not verify the story, leaving it as one more unexplained fragment in a case already brimming with mystery. This red folder account comes from later retellings of the case and remains anecdotal, not a confirmed detail in the police dossier. 16 days after Juan Pedro's disappearance, investigators were still baffled. With no sign of the boy, theories multiplied. Some wondered if he might have wandered away in shock and succumbed to the elements, or even been secretly rescued by passers-by who failed to report it. But a bombshell piece of evidence abruptly shifted the focus. Drugs. Acting on a tip from the family, authorities re-examined the wreckage of the tanker and found packages of heroin hidden inside the acid tank. Nearly a year after the crash, in June 1987, the tanker's dismantled cistern revealed traces of high-purity heroin wrapped in rags and tucked in an empty compartment of the tri-chambered tank. The acid had been in 2 compartments. The centre chamber was supposed to be empty, but someone had stashed illicit cargo there. The Guardia Civil confirmed the heroin find to the press, and suddenly the narrative of the case took a darker turn. Andreas Martinez, by all accounts, a law-abiding trucker with no known criminal ties, may have been unwittingly or forcibly transporting drugs along with acid. According to Juan Pedro's relatives, there had been suspicions even before the crash. The family had quietly suggested that the tanker might be carrying something rare and dangerous besides acid. Now those suspicions were validated. The idea emerged that a local drug smuggling ring in Murcia had coerced Andres into hiding heroin in his load of acid. If so, the implications were chilling. Perhaps criminals hijacked the situation to retrieve their narcotics and silence the only witness who wasn't killed by the crash. Juan Pedro could have been kidnapped as a hostage or revenge because the smugglers feared a lost shipment or police involvement. Yet even the drug theory proved convoluted. When the heroin residue was sent for a more detailed analysis at Spain's National Toxicology Institute, results were contradictory. An initial field test was positive, but a later exhaustive test came back negative. Whether that means the drugs were removed prior to the crash, or there was a testing error, remains debated. Some investigators doubted the scenario, reasoning that organised traffickers would prefer using an international route to France rather than a domestic Bilbao run for smuggling. It also seems far-fetched that traffickers would orchestrate a highway abduction of a child in broad daylight as retaliation. And if they did, how could they execute it in the scant 20 seconds of the truck's stop? The timeline was brutally tight. Moreover, none of the other motorists at the scene reported hearing shouting or seeing a struggle in the moments before the crash. Details you might expect if desperate parents were fighting off kidnappers in the cab. The heroin discovery, while provocative, ultimately raised as many questions as it answered. By late 1986, the official investigation had hit a wall. No ransom demand or communication ever came from potential kidnappers. Interpol circulated Juan Pedro's photo internationally, and Spanish police continued to chase down tips. Alleged sightings of a boy matching his description came from places as far-flung as Gibraltar and France over the years, but none could be substantiated. One intriguing lead surfaced a few weeks after the accident. A Madrid driving instructor reported encountering an elderly woman accompanied by a young boy near the US Embassy in Madrid. The woman asked for directions in Spanish. The instructor later noted that the boy with her spoke with a Murcian accent, the dialect of Juan Pedro's home region, and was about 10 years old. When the instructor inquired about the boy's identity, the woman became evasive and hurried off, the boy in tow. This tantalizing anecdote, like so many others, remained unverified, a possible glimpse of Juan Pedro alive, or simply a coincidental encounter with a lookalike child. Spanish authorities kept Juan Pedro's case open for years, but by 1992, 6 years after the crash, with no fresh evidence, the case was reluctantly archived as unsolved. Juan Pedro was officially declared missing, not deceased. His heartbroken grandparents and extended family never stopped searching, convinced he might still be alive somewhere. In 2008, as forensic technology advanced, the Guardia Civil launched Operation Phoenix, a program to re-examine old missing persons cases with DNA. They collected a genetic sample from Juan Pedro's maternal grandmother, Maria Legaz. In 2015, there was a brief flutter of hope. A set of unidentified child's remains found in a Spanish province turned up a partial genetic match to Juan Pedro's grandmother. Tragically, more sophisticated analysis proved the match insufficient. It was not him. Nearly 4 decades on, Juan Pedro Martínez Gómez remains on Interpol's missing list, a case without closure.
Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Over time, theories about what really happened to Juan Pedro have ranged from the straightforward to the fantastic. Some believe he perished in the crash, but his body was somehow overlooked. Perhaps flung into an unsearched crevice or stolen by wild animals, though officials call this highly unlikely. Others suspect a cover-up or secret intervention. Was the child perhaps saved by a passerby, who then panicked or had dubious intentions, or taken by someone claiming to help, who then harmed him? The more sinister conjectures revolve around the drug connection and organised crime, that he was abducted and possibly killed by drug traffickers who intercepted the truck. On the fringe of speculation are whispers of everything from human trafficking to bizarre cult involvement or a paedophile ring, but no evidence has ever surfaced to support such notions, and responsible investigators treat these as unfounded rumours. Authorities have emphasised that with so much uncertainty, it's crucial to stick to verified facts and not compound the family's grief with wild conjecture. And that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I've got to apologise because my throat is giving out. I've got a bug of some sort. It's not COVID. But something's going on. Keep getting like sore throat or really dry throat, nasal, that kind of thing, that time of year. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by rating and reviewing and by visiting patreon.com/The Whispering Woods, where for £2.50 a month, you can subscribe to the Obscurata tier and listen to all episodes ad-free. We are also on Apple Premium, where you can subscribe directly in the app. And for $4.99 a month, you can listen to this podcast and our other podcast, The Whispering Woods, ad-free. I want to say a quick thank you to Rog for fact-checking and editing. And as always, stay curious and sleep with the lights on, just in case.
Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.